Okay, this is the second day of multiplying radicals, and we're going to do the right-hand side. So let's just pick maybe 4 to do together. Let's do V and R, G, and T. Alright, so we have -7 square roots of 3 times 2 square roots of 10. So don't forget, we can only multiply. This is a number and a radical. A number and a radical. We can only multiply the numbers together. So -7 times 2 is -14. And then we can only multiply the radicals together. 3 times 10 is the square root of 30. So -14 square roots of 30. That's what we're really dealing with right now. So -14 square roots of 30. And I don't think 30 breaks down anymore. Notice there's nothing, there's no perfect squares. There's no matches, nothing. When there's no matches, then nothing comes out of the radical, and it just stays 30. So this is our final answer. We can't simplify that anymore because nothing came out of the radical. And there it is down here. Okay, let's do R. So try it yourself first, and then watch the video and see whether you got it right or wrong. Okay, once again, we can only multiply the numbers together and then the radicals together. So -10 times -2 is 20, and 3 times 21 is 63. So what I'm really dealing with is 20 square roots of 63. Well, 63 will break down to 7 and 9. 7's prime, so it can't break down anymore. So I really have 20, and then 3, 3, and 7. So, first thing you should notice is that the 3's will come out. The 3's will come out and multiply by the 20, and that'll give me 60. And the 7 has to stay in because there was no match for it. It had to stay in the house. Poor 7. 60 square roots of 7. And it's the last one down here. Okay, we have G. Again, if you have not done any of these yet, you really need to try some by yourself before you do the rest by yourself. So do G. Okay, notice I have a negative out front of both of these. So I'm going to just remind myself and you that if it's just a negative, it's always a -1. If there's no number with it, it's automatically a -1. Well, -1 times -1 is +1, which really doesn't change anything, because if you take 1 times anything, +1 times anything, it's exactly the same thing. +1 times 3 is 3. 1 times a million is a million. So I'm just going to take them out altogether. They canceled each other out. Both the negatives canceled each other out, and now it's going to be a positive answer. So what I really have is 5 times 15, which is 75. And then I have a squared times a squared, which is a to the 4th. And then I have b. So this is really what I'm dealing with now. 75, a to the 4th, b. Well, 75 is 3/4. So that would be 25 times 3. And then 25 breaks down to 5 and 5. So I have 5, 5, and 3. So if I rewrite everything, I have 3 times 5 times 5 times A, and B. And I think that's everything that's under there. Notice I have a pair of 5s, a pair of A's, a pair of A's. The only thing that's going to get left behind is 3 and B. So I already know that in the house is going to be 3 and b. And outside of the house is a 5a. So 5a squared. The number one mistake that kids make is forgetting to only bring one of each type out. Like some kids will bring this out as a to the fourth. And it's very common. So be careful that if you did that, you pay attention. You got 1a here and 1a here. That's 2 a's. That's why your answer is a squared. So final answer, 5a squared, square roots of 3b. Okay, the last one that we're going to do together. Definitely try this one by yourself. This is the hardest one we've done so far. If you can do this one without any trouble, then you're going to be fine. Don't forget, we're going to multiply the front numbers first. So that's going to be 12. And then we multiply everything under the radical. 3 times 18, I don't know. What would that be, 54? And then a times, well, there's no other a's, so a squared. And then I got b times b squared, which is going to be b to the third. Okay. So let's go ahead and break down 54. 54 is 6 times 9. And that's going to be 2 and 3 and 3 and 3. Another thing that kids do that will mess you up is they'll add the numbers instead of multiplying. So for example, they might say that 6 is 3 and 3 because 3 plus 3 is 6. But you got to make sure you're multiplying. 2 times 3 is 6. And 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm going to write all of this on another paper. Okay, so the 12, and then underneath the radical, it broke down to 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. And then we had 2 a's and 3 b's. So now we're just going through, and this part's pretty easy. You're just pretty much playing match, you know. But there are some things that got left behind. We have a 2, a 3, and a b. So 2 times 3 times b is 6b. So we know that our answer will have a radical of 6b. And then we're going to have 12. Don't forget about the 12. Times 3 times a times b. Well, 12 times 3 is 36. A times b is just ab. And then we still have the square root of 6b. And that could be very confusing. This is a lot of steps. Make sure you're really taking your time and you're checking yourself after every problem. Don't do a lot of them without checking your work. So let's make sure our answer is there. 36, yep, there it is. The rest of them I want you to do by yourself. And raise your hand and ask for help if you need it.